Have you been praying, waiting, and believing for a breakthrough that seems to delay endlessly? Today, I want to tell you something that will change your perspective forever. God is not silent, and He is not late. Every prayer you've lifted, every tear you've shed, every longing of your heart is heard in heaven. The miracle you've been waiting for is already in motion, and today you will learn how to position yourself to receive it fully. God hears every prayer that rises from a sincere heart, but His response is governed by divine timing rather than human urgency. Many people misunderstand the nature of prayer and assume that volume, repetition, or emotional intensity forces heaven to act. But prayer is not a mechanism to pressure God. It is a channel to align with His will. When you pray, you are not informing God of something He does not know, and you are not persuading Him to care. He already knows, and He already cares. The issue is not whether God has heard you, but whether the time is right for the answer to manifest in the natural realm. Human urgency is shaped by pain, discomfort, deadlines, and fear, but divine timing is shaped by purpose, order, and long-term outcomes. God sees the end from the beginning, and because of that, He refuses to answer prayers in ways that would interrupt His larger plan for your life. What feels urgent to you may be incomplete in His sight. He does not rush because He does not panic, and He does not hurry because He is never threatened by delay. When God withholds an immediate answer, it is not because He is distant, distracted, or unwilling. It is because timing is part of the answer itself. An early answer can be just as damaging as no answer at all. And God is too wise to give you what you are not yet prepared to manage. Many prayers are heard instantly in the spiritual realm, but their manifestation is delayed until circumstances, character, understanding, and maturity come into alignment. This is why two people can pray similar prayers and receive different outcomes at different times. God customizes His response based on destiny, not comparison. The waiting season is not empty time. It is instructional time. In that space, God refines motives, strengthens faith, and teaches dependence. Urgency wants relief, but timing produces transformation. When the answer finally comes, it carries stability, peace, and longevity because it arrived at the appointed time, not the demanded time. Delay in the kingdom is often preparation, not denial. And this truth challenges the emotional interpretation many people attach to waiting. In natural systems, waiting is usually a sign of inefficiency, but in divine systems, waiting is evidence of intentional design. God never delays without purpose. What appears to be inactivity is often intense development happening beneath the surface. Just as a seed must remain hidden in the soil before it breaks through, answers to prayer often require unseen stages before public manifestation. During delay, God is not ignoring you. He is arranging people, aligning resources, correcting perspectives, and removing elements that could sabotage the miracle once it arrives. Denial removes hope, but delay strengthens capacity. Many blessings require growth before release, because the weight of the miracle must match the strength of the recipient. Without preparation, the very thing you prayed for can become a burden rather than a blessing. Delay teaches patience, but more importantly, it teaches trust. It forces you to rely on God's character rather than visible progress. In waiting seasons, faith matures from emotional expectation into quiet confidence. You learn to worship without evidence, obey without applause, and remain consistent without immediate reward. These lessons cannot be taught in moments of instant gratification. Delay also exposes intentions, revealing whether the desire is rooted in purpose or pressure. God uses time to filter motives and refine desires so that when the answer comes, it aligns with His will and your destiny. What you interpret as God saying no is often God saying not yet, because not yet carries the promise of fulfillment, growth, and readiness. And in that season of preparation, something is being built within you that will be required for what is coming, something essential, something necessary, something that will ensure that when the miracle finally arrives, it will not only change your situation, but also sustain your calling and your future. Miracles require alignment with God's principles, not desperation alone, because desperation is driven by pressure, while alignment is driven by understanding. Many people approach God only when they reach the end of their strength, hoping that intensity will compensate for inconsistency. But heaven does not respond to panic. It responds to order. God established laws, principles, and patterns that govern how His power operates in the earth. When you align your life with those principles, you position yourself to receive what God has already made available. Desperation may cry loudly, but alignment speaks clearly. God is not moved by emotional collapse. He is moved by obedience, faithfulness, and submission to His design. A miracle is not a suspension of divine order, but a manifestation of it. When alignment is missing, prayers become exhausting, because you are trying to receive benefits without honoring the system that produces them. Alignment requires discipline, patience, and humility. It demands that you adjust your thinking, habits, and priorities to reflect God's will rather than your preferences. This is why some people pray for change while resisting correction. They want results without responsibility, outcomes without obedience, and power without principle. But miracles flow where order exists. When your life comes into alignment, prayer shifts from struggle to confidence. You stop begging and start believing. You stop demanding and start trusting. Alignment does not mean perfection. It means direction. It means your heart is set toward God's purposes even while you are still growing. When alignment is present, heaven has permission to intervene. God does not violate His own principles to satisfy desperation, but He honors His principles to release miracles. Desperation may bring you to your knees, but alignment keeps you standing in faith. The more aligned you are, the less frantic your prayers become, because you understand that the miracle is not something you must chase, but something that follows obedience and faithfulness over time. Faith is trusting God's promise, even when evidence is absent, and this level of faith separates belief from conviction. Many people say they have faith, but what they really have is confidence in what they can see. True faith does not depend on visible confirmation, favorable circumstances, or immediate results. It is rooted in trust in God's character, not in the predictability of outcomes. Faith is not pretending everything is fine. It is choosing to stand on God's word when everything suggests otherwise. Evidence speaks to the senses, but faith speaks to the spirit. When evidence is absent, faith becomes active rather than theoretical. This is the stage where trust is tested, motives are refined, and spiritual maturity is revealed. Faith does not deny reality, but it refuses to let reality define the future. It acknowledges the problem while trusting the promise. This kind of faith requires patience, because waiting without evidence is uncomfortable. It forces you to let go of control and resist the urge to manipulate outcomes. Faith remains steady in uncertainty, anchored in the assurance that God's word is reliable even when circumstances are unstable. Many miracles are preceded by seasons where nothing changes externally, yet something deepens internally. Faith grows in silence, strengthens in delay, and matures in uncertainty. When evidence is missing, faith learns to rest rather than rush, to trust rather than strive, and to hope without guarantees. This faith is not loud, dramatic, or attention-seeking. It is quiet, consistent, and resilient. It continues to obey when results are delayed, and continues to believe when progress is invisible. Faith is choosing God's promise over your perception, His word over your emotions, and His timing over your anxiety. This is the faith that holds on without proof, walks forward without clarity, and remains confident without confirmation. The kind of faith that positions the heart to receive what has already been promised, even while the visible world shows no sign of change. God works in hidden stages before revealing visible results, and understanding this principle is essential for anyone who seeks miracles. Many people become frustrated because they pray, they sow, they believe, yet the visible evidence seems delayed or absent. What they fail to recognize is that God's work is often invisible at first. He is moving in the spiritual realm, aligning circumstances, influencing minds, and orchestrating events that are not yet apparent to human eyes. Just as a farmer cannot see the roots growing beneath the soil, we cannot always see the processes that God is orchestrating in our lives. Yet, the hidden work is no less real or effective than what is visible. In fact, the hidden stages are often more important because they prepare the foundation for the miracle to stand permanently. God's work is precise, strategic, and multifaceted. He prepares the soil, removes obstacles, and creates conditions where the blessing, once revealed, cannot be easily destroyed. Many people give up too soon because they expect immediate results without understanding that the divine process requires stages. Each stage serves a purpose: development, refinement, positioning, and preparation. Spiritual maturity, character strength, patience, and discernment are cultivated during these unseen phases, and they are necessary to handle the miracle when it finally manifests. To become impatient during hidden work is to risk undermining the very blessing you have prayed for. God does not move in chaos. He moves in order. And part of that order involves stages that are unseen, stages that test faith, and stages that perfect the outcome. What you see as delay, God sees as design. What you interpret as inactivity, God interprets as intentional preparation. The visible manifestation is only the final act of a process that has been meticulously arranged behind the scenes. And recognizing this helps you to persevere in faith, trust the process, and remain aligned with God's will, even when the world around you seems unresponsive. Every answered prayer is designed to protect and fulfill your destiny, because God's intention is never simply to meet immediate needs. His intention is to ensure that what He gives enhances your life purpose and long-term calling. Many people pray for things without understanding the bigger picture. And when those prayers are answered hastily or without preparation, the results can sometimes be more harmful than helpful. God, in His wisdom, ensures that every response to prayer is calibrated to your readiness, your character, and the larger plan He has for your life. He does not give blindly. He gives strategically. The miracle, blessing, or breakthrough is not an isolated event, but a critical component of your destiny. Every answered prayer carries with it implications for your future, your influence, and your testimony. That is why preparation, alignment, and hidden work are essential. God is not just answering requests. He is shaping outcomes that will resonate throughout your life and the lives of those you impact. Protection is a key element in every answered prayer. A premature blessing can attract destruction, a misaligned opportunity can lead to failure, and a hastily received miracle can overwhelm the unprepared heart. God ensures that when your prayer is answered, it arrives in a way that secures your purpose and strengthens your foundation. Destiny fulfillment and miracle manifestation are intertwined. You cannot separate the two, because every blessing is designed to advance you into the plan God has ordained. Protection comes in the form of timing, guidance, and alignment, and the absence of these elements can compromise what God intended for your life. That is why patience is essential, faith is required, and trust must be exercised. The answer you receive is not just a gift, it is a positioning, a stepping stone, and a preparation for greater responsibility and impact. Understanding this truth transforms waiting from frustration into expectation, because it allows you to see that even when the miracle has not yet manifested, God is still working on your behalf to secure, protect, and fulfill your destiny. Remember, God hears every prayer, but He answers according to His perfect timing. Delay is not denial, it is preparation. Miracles require alignment with His principles, and faith is trusting His promise even when evidence is absent. Behind the scenes, God works in hidden stages to ensure that when your answer arrives, it is perfect, powerful, and lasting. Every answered prayer is designed to protect you and fulfill your destiny. So continue praying, keep believing, stay aligned, and trust the process, because your miracle is on its way, and it will come in God's perfect time.